the world yesterday, finalizing the blockbuster trade for Davante Adams to reunite him with his longtime quarterback Aaron Rodgers. The Jets sending the Raiders a 2025 conditional third-round pick in the deal.
So the New York Jets have acquired Davante Adams in a blockbuster deal that will reunite the superstar receiver with his former quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. But is the move enough to get the Jets over the hump to the Super Bowl contending type of team they want to be? And that's what I want to get into in this video. Because with a 2-4 start, this is going to be a very uphill climb. But it's still very early in the season. And I think this trade is going to have a huge impact on this team moving forward. I don't think anyone truly understands what just happened. But anyways, before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. So, the New York Jets just dropped a thrilling game to the Buffalo Bills by 3 points to put their record at 2-4. This game was super deflating for everyone. But then the very next day, we all found out that Davante Adams was headed over to MetLife. This is a move that has been speculated on for a very long time. I mean, you can go back to last year when we first heard rumblings of Adams and Rodgers reuniting in a Jets uniform. These Tuesdays have really become big news days for the Jets. Last Tuesday, they fired their head coach. This Tuesday, they trade for Davante Adams. And just getting straight into my opinion on this trade, I think it most definitely makes the Jets a better football team. There's no doubt about that. To me, if you're going to trade a somewhat valuable future draft pick for a receiver turning 32 years old, there has to be one core principle behind the trade. And just getting straight into my opinion on this trade, I think it most definitely makes the Jets a better football team, but it doesn't fix the core underlying problems with this team. To me, if you're going to trade a somewhat valuable future draft pick for a receiver turning 32 years old, there has to be one core principle behind the trade. It has to be a move that puts you over the top into becoming a Super Bowl contender. And I am not sure if this move does that. At least at the moment until other trades are made. To me, if you're going to trade a somewhat valuable future draft pick for a receiver turning 32 years old, there has to be one core principle behind the trade. It has to be a move that puts you over the top into becoming a Super Bowl contender. And I'm not sure if this move does that. At least at the moment until other trades are made. Because the Jets have not been standing toe-to-toe with the best teams in the league. Again, I'm not against the trade, but I'm not for it. The Jets really are only a couple plays away from being a 5-1 or 4-2 team, but at the end of the day, they have not impressed me this season at all. And Davante Adams does not fix the offensive and defensive lines. This feels like putting a band-aid on a broken leg. But that does not change the fact that there is still a ton of talent on this team. And if the guys up front do turn it around, or even just play average, this team can really become a threat, because this receiving room is top notch. Now you have Davante Adams, who will come in behind Garrett Wilson, which will really open up the field for someone like Allen Lazard. And I also think that the receiving core will open up the running game for Breece Hall as well. So I don't want to be negative and talk down on the Jets this whole video, because there is talent. This move will only help the team win games, but I'm just not sure if the Super Bowl window is even open right now. And that's why personally, I would have rather stripped things down and went in rebuild mode. But I guess if these are the final moments of Aaron Rodgers' career, you might as well just give him the weapons that he wants. But in terms of the future, the Jets really have been sending away a lot of picks, which I don't really like. It's cool to get the headlines and praise for getting superstar players, but ultimately, sometimes they don't actually help you win games. It's like the Jets care more about generating buzz and being flashy in the headlines than building the future of this football team. Because the tackles up front have struggled. The guys look both too young and too old. And then even before last year's injury, Aaron Rodgers' mobility was already somewhat restricted. So until those things get figured out, we are looking at a 2-4 football team that has to improve a lot of things before they become a real contender. And I mean, I think the Jets really should sit back the next couple of weeks to see what happens the next couple of games, because if the Jets are 3-6 or something like that, they really should be sellers at the deadline. I want to credit Locked On Jets for this one. Really, a lot of the points I made in this video are from that podcast, because they did a great job of covering this situation. So make sure to go subscribe to them. But if you were holding on to a stock that wasn't performing and you saw there were underlying issues with the company, would you continue to throw more money into it just because you made such a big investment in the past, or would you cut it loose? Sometimes you have to just cut it loose, and that is the situation the Jets find themselves in. They are actually in a very similar situation as my Cleveland Browns, but for different reasons. And we just saw the Browns yesterday trade away Amari Cooper. Anyways, moving on, let's talk about the defense, which has been one of the main struggles of the team so far. Jeff Ulbrich has continued in his role as the Jets defensive coordinator after becoming their interim head coach. And he said after Monday night's loss to the Bills that the Jets defense needs to get a lot better. From a defensive perspective, just not the start that we're accustomed to having from this defense, he said. It wasn't good enough to start. We made a huge emphasis on stopping the run, knowing they'd be committed to it. It's been the signature of the Bills this season, and we did not do that. 150 yards, 4.7 a carry, 4 explosives, that's not winning football from a defensive perspective. And that's on me, that's on every player, that's on every coach, that's on all of us. It's a collective thing, we'll get that fixed. It's not good. It's not the standard of this defense. No man in there would say that. We're just not accustomed to it. There were some communication errors, there were times I could have made a better call, and there were some assignment errors. It was not the defense we're accustomed to, especially against the run, he said. At 2-4, the Jets don't have much margin for error if they want to be a playoff team. And the defense really needs to play better on Sunday night in Pittsburgh. And all eyes are going to be on the Jets in that game to see Davante Adams in his new threads. I think Adams offensively really fixes everything in the passing game because at the end of Monday night's game, immediately after, Aaron Rodgers called out Mike Williams and his route running. And funny enough, right after, the Jets front office brought in his favorite target. Here is what people in the media are saying about the trade.
Lost to the Bills, obviously. AFC East rival, Buffalo Bills, prime time. We heard you talk about it. We will certainly dive into that game a little bit more throughout this conversation. But Davante Adams is a New York Jet.
It was a crappy day. Yesterday, obviously, we had a real good chance to get to 3-3 and win a home game. Kind of gave that one away. I was pissed driving home through traffic. Had a couple messages. I was just not in the mood to talk to anybody. Got home. And Ted called me.
And the way that Aaron Rodgers wants the position, when you looked at the end of the last game, you saw it rear its head. That's what DA provides. It should take a step in the passing game, talking specifically about DA and the wide receiver position.
That's really all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.